What is going on, everybody? Welcome. This is Greg Helbeck, and on this video, it's actually going to be a follow-up to my video I made last week. So it's going to be about how to really increase your income. What are some ways and some businesses or whatever the case might be to get your income up so you can build your wealth? So I had a great comment from a friend of mine, Harry. He said, "Hey, I loved your video on how to get rich quick, but you talked about, you want to drive a wedge in between your income and your expenses, and what are some ideas to grow your income so you can have that wedge to then grow your income and your expenses so you could separate the two, right?" So I'm going to talk about, what I did, and I'll talk about, what some other people do. And hopefully after you watch this video, you'll have some great ideas that you can execute. So before I get into the meat and potatoes of this video, if you're new to my channel, if you could subscribe, it would mean a lot to me. If you could like the video, it would be helpful too. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel, and that would be helpful. And if you're not familiar with me, my name is Greg Helbeck. I'm a full-time real estate investor. I've been buying investment properties since 2016. Done well over 100 properties, probably 125, 130 at this point. So I got a good amount of experience and love this business. So hopefully you can watch this video and apply the knowledge and become successful. So at the end of the day, the way I did it is I really grew my income substantially by doing two things: by wholesaling properties and by flipping properties, right? As an entrepreneur in my own business. So the first thing I did was I started wholesaling houses, right? Which is certainly not easy. It's very simple, but it's not easy. It's going out, it's finding sellers who want to sell their property at a discount, getting them under contract, and then selling those contracts to a cash buyer or someone getting hard money for a profit, right? And usually those profits are anywhere from $10,000 to $80,000, right? Depending on how good you are and how good of a deal it is, right? So I started wholesaling houses. When I first started, I think the first year I actually went all in, probably made 40 grand, right? I was 20 years old. I was super young. Year after that, made probably, 120 grand, I would say. And then the year after that, the third year, I made like 350 or something like that. And then every year since then, it's gone up, right? We do a lot of revenue now. So that's how I did it. Obviously, not all that revenue is net profit, right? But I've been netting in my pocket hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for the last, 4 years now. So I've been able to save a lot of money and I've been able to invest a lot of money. And the reason I'm telling you that is not to tell you how rich I am or how much money I got. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just telling you that is what I have done, is from basically wholesaling properties, taking the profits and then paying my overhead and then the rest putting in my personal bank account or some of my bank accounts and saving that money to invest in real estate. So that was thing number one, was wholesaling. Once I had some money from wholesaling and I had a nest egg saved up, I actually started taking that money and flipping properties. So I would buy a property with usually a hard money loan or a private lender, and I would close on that property, and then I would resell that property for a larger profit than I would have made if I wholesaled it. And those profits, I've done $100,000 profits before. I mean, the average profit, I'd say, if you're flipping, probably 55 grand, 60 grand, in my area, if you're doing it right. So I was able to take the money that I saved from wholesaling and invest it into these flip properties. And then once I started flipping these properties and getting momentum, I was able to essentially take the money I had in the bank, buy a property with leverage, resell that property, pay off the loan, and then, reap a profit. And that started snowballing, because let's say I needed, I was buying a property for 300 grand or something. And actually, probably less. Let's say I was buying a property for 200 grand and a lender was willing to give me 150. I would take 50 grand from money I had in the bank and I would use that to cover the difference between what the purchase price is and what the lender would give me. So I had 50K in the deal. And then let's say I bought that property for 200 and sold it for 275, the next day or a month later. And after 25K in soft costs, I would net $50,000. Look at that. I just took 50 grand from my bank, invested it into this property to make a $50,000 net profit. So essentially I doubled my money. So then I would take the 50, it would go from the bank to the property, and then it would come back from the property back into the bank, doubled, right? So the 50 would turn into 100. So I'd get 100% return on my money. So that's how I got rich quick, is I would use the active income of real estate investing, wholesaling and flipping, to essentially build up a nest egg. And that's what I've done, right? So that is really how I've been able to use that wedge principle I was telling you about to increase my income, to have the money to save, to then buy rental properties, which is really what I talked about in the other video. So I'll kind of leave that for the other video I mentioned, but that is what I've done is really just active income real estate investing, assignments, flipping, well, assignments or wholesaling. Another thing you could do if you don't want to do that, let's say you don't want to be a real estate investor and you want to, make a lot of money. You could be an attorney, depending on, obviously that's a very general term. You have to be in a law, I guess, sector where it allows you to make a lot of money, in my opinion, 300 grand plus. You could be in sales, right? If you're in, you could work for a real estate investor like me or someone else, and you could be in like an acquisitions specialist, and you can make a commission on every property you do, and you don't have any overhead at that point, and it's pretty much all upside, no downside. The owner takes the downside. So you can do that. You can get into medical device sales. You can get into software sales. I mean, I would recommend you probably get into sales, into a situation where you're commission based, so you can essentially have a throttle on your income. You can turn it up or turn it down. Ideally, you want to turn it up. Another thing you could do is you could be a real estate agent, right? You could simply be a real estate agent. You could list houses. You could work with buyers. And you can make a commission on every house you sell. If you sell 4, 5, 6 houses a month, I mean, you can make 30, 40 grand a month if you're in the right market. And then lastly, obviously, you could be an entrepreneur in another business. You could I have friends who have massive businesses in the software space, tech. You could, blue collar businesses. I have a friend who has a junk removal business. I have a couple friends who have painting businesses. You could be, you could just have your own business, right? It doesn't have to be a real estate investor like me. But essentially, you want to be in a situation where you can control your income via commissions, via net profits, via equity. Well, really not equity because that's not cash. But anyway, you either want to be a real estate entrepreneur, a regular entrepreneur, or you want to be in sales in some capacity where you're getting commissions. That's, in my opinion, how you really can increase your income to have it be, like I said, minimum $350 a year, which might sound crazy if you're watching this and you're not making anywhere near that. But I'm telling you right now, if you commit to this, and you get really good at marketing and you get really good at selling and you understand how to negotiate, that is something you can certainly achieve. You have to put the work in. You have to really have a strategy and a plan, and you have to run that plan, through a mentor to make sure it's a valid plan, but it's possible. So hopefully this video gave you some ideas on how to do that. If you're interested in learning more on how you can work with me, whether it's a one-on-one coaching thing or you want to do JV deals with me or just wholesale me houses. I'm buying a house off a wholesaler right now, and the deal makes a lot of sense. Send me an email, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com. If you want to get coached by me, just make the subject line coaching. If you want to do JV deals with me, just, put the subject line JV deals. Hopefully you got value from this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel and like the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.